Okay, let's unpack something truly, well, pretty wild today. We've got our hands on some excerpts, apparently from a Flux liner pilot training manual.
Hmm.
Now, the source for this is interesting in itself. It traces back to a YouTube channel called Cliff High Sci-Fi World, so, you know, buckle up. We're definitely stepping into some, let's say, speculative territory here.
Indeed. But what's kind of fascinating, even within this potentially fictional frame, is how the manual presents itself.
Yeah.
It claims to be based on solid physics derived from the ontological model of our common shared reality.
Right, ontological model, that's basically the fundamental rule book for reality itself, isn't it?
That's the idea, yeah. It's trying to build a coherent system, even if the starting premise is unconventional.
Definitely unconventional, because this isn't your standard spacecraft, is it? We're not
Right.
talking rockets and fuel.
Not at all.
This thing supposedly works by using, get this, consciousness, energy transformation, and temporal manipulation.
Yeah, it dives right into the deep end.
And it keeps coming back to the pilot. They call the pilot a local consciousness, an LC operating within something called the Materium.
Hmm.
So I think our mission for this deep dive has to be, let's try and understand what this manual says about how these flux liners work, and maybe what that implies about, well, everything. Reality, us.
Absolutely. It's immediately striking how it bypasses traditional, aerospace thinking. A fluxliner isn't just a faster jet or a better rocket.
Right,
It's framed as an advanced spacecraft that interacts with reality itself.
right.
Specifically, it mentions harnessing the pulse of the materium.
Okay, the pulse of the Materium. Manual mentions a number here that's just staggering, something like 22 trillion cycles per second, reality being recreated.
It's an almost unimaginable frequency.
How does that pulse relate to movement? How does the ship actually go anywhere?
So the core concept presented is that this materium, this sort of underlying fabric of existence, isn't static.
Hmm.
It's constantly in flux, being created and crucially destroyed.
Yeah.
And the flux liner, according to this manual, supposedly uses that destruction phase. It essentially vanishes from one point,
Like deletes itself?
sort of. It resets its location coordinates during that destruction moment and then reappears in the next creation cycle, the next pulse, at the new spot.
Whoa.
So it's not continuous travel like a car driving down a road. It's more like a sequence of incredibly rapid relocations between these reality pulses.
So blinking in and out of existence almost, but trillions of times a second. That really messes with your idea of just moving from A to B.
It does. It suggests a fundamentally different mechanism for translocation. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
So where does the human, the pilot, fit in? They can't just be like pressing a go button for that, surely.
No, definitely not. The manual really emphasizes this. Pilots need to align their consciousness with the ship's systems.
Align their consciousness.
How? The input isn't described as physical, like flipping switches or using a joystick. It's through intent, focus, and energetic coherence.
Intent, focus, energetic coherence.
So navigation becomes this intertwined process, a kind of collaboration between the technology and the pilot's directed consciousness, a much more, active and intimate role.
Okay, that leads us straight to this term they use, local consciousness, LC. The manual defines it pretty simply at first. Embodied life. Humans, basically.
Wait, us.
But then it gets deeper. It says an LC is a manifestation of infinite consciousness localized within the Materium. And it mentions an eternal soul, too, like a vessel for our experiences. That's a lot to unpack right there.
It is. If we try to follow their logic, it's positioning humans as, well, more than just biological machines. We're presented as individual points, maybe, of a much larger universal consciousness, just experiencing things within this materium.
And the eternal soul part implies
Yeah.
continuity beyond just this one life.
That seems to be the implication, yes. That our experiences aren't just contained to this physical existence.
Yeah.
From the fluxliner perspective, this elevates the pilot, doesn't it?
Yep.
They're not just an operator. They're a conscious node within this whole system.
Yeah, a node of consciousness driving a consciousness-based ship. Okay. So, based on that idea of LC, the manual talks about some key concepts. First is the embodied doer. The idea that we as LCs are actively interacting with the Materium. Our thoughts, our intentions, our actions, they actually do things within it.
That's a really crucial point in their model. It suggests reality isn't just something we passively observe, it's participatory.
So my thoughts aren't just in my head.
According to this, no. There are actual interactions with this underlying field. They have a kind of energetic reality, which, makes sense if the ship responds to intent. The quality of that intent might matter hugely.
Okay, that connects to the next idea, energetic connection. It says all energy in the Materium is basically consciousness, just downshifted, like a lower frequency.
Yeah, a downshifted expression of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And that we as LCs naturally interact with this energy field all the time, whether we realize it or not.
Which would be vital for piloting this thing, I guess.
Absolutely vital. If the ship works by manipulating these energy flows, the pilot's own ability to sense and maybe influence this energy field becomes the main skill. It's not about mechanics. It's about energetic interaction.
So you need that energetic coherence they mentioned, like being tuned in.
Exactly. Like tuning a radio. Your internal state, your energy needs to resonate correctly with the ship's systems for it to work smoothly.
And the last big LC concept, infinite origins. Basically, while we're here in the Materium having this experience, our real nature is beyond that, connected to infinite consciousness.
That's the idea. It reframes the whole thing. Piloting this ship isn't just a job. It's potentially tapping into that deeper infinite nature.
Because the ship responds directly to the pilot's consciousness.
Yes. Unlike a car or a plane, it's sensitive to their state of mind, their energy levels, their focus, their intention. It's all interconnected.
Which makes operating it. Well, the manual calls it both a technical skill and a spiritual discipline.
A very apt description, given the premises.
So, okay, what does this mean for someone wanting to be a Flux liner pilot? What are the expectations? It sounds like more than just flight school.
Oh, much more. The manual stresses mental discipline, first and foremost.
Right.
Clarity, focus, emotional stability. These are requirements.
You can see why, if your stray thoughts or bad moods can affect the ship.
Precisely. A scattered mind could lead to, well, unstable flight, couldn't it? If the ship is that sensitive, mental focus becomes your primary control interface. Emotional turbulence could literally mean turbulence.
Ooh, wow. Okay, and then there's that energetic coherence again, maintaining a harmonious inner state to stabilize the ship's fields.
Yeah, it suggests the pilot's own energy field is interacting directly with the flux liner's field. So inner balance translates to outer stability for the ship. It's a very holistic view of piloting.
And the last requirement they mention is expanded awareness, understanding the flow of time, this ever-present now. How does that relate to navigation?
That's maybe the most mind-bending part.
Yeah.
It suggests moving beyond seeing time as just linear past, present, future. Maybe it implies perceiving reality's constant flux, that 22 trillion cycle pulse, in a different way. Perhaps that awareness is key to navigating those instantaneous jumps the ship makes.
Like you need to perceive the gaps, maybe, or slow down your perception.
Could be. Maybe a pilot with that expanded awareness can process information or make decisions within those incredibly rapid cycles in a way we normally can't.
So if this pilot school actually existed, the qualification exam sounds intense.
Definitely not your standard written test.
They're looking for mental stability, emotional balance, that energetic sensitivity, and this expanded time awareness.
And the preparation methods they suggest really underline this. For mental discipline, it's things like meditation, mindfulness, visualization.
Visualizing operating the ship
Yeah,
and those transitions.
exactly. And stress management is highlighted. The ability to stay calm when presumably things will get very strange very quickly.
Then for energetic awareness, they suggest
Uh,
body scanning, like feeling your own energy. And even using tools like pendulums.
Yeah, or electromagnetic sensors. It's about developing a sensitivity to subtle energies, things most of us don't really pay attention to.
It's funny, isn't it? It blends these very sort of esoteric or spiritual development practices with what's presented as super advanced technology.
It really does blur those lines. It suggests mastery of your inner world is maybe a prerequisite for mastering this kind of outer technology.
And for temporal perception, they talk about time awareness drills, focusing on micro moments, and something called temporal stretching.
Consciously trying to expand or contract your subjective experience of time.
Okay, that one's really hard to even imagine.
It is. It suggests time in their model isn't fixed. And maybe a pilot can learn to manipulate their internal clock, perhaps to better handle those rapid reality shifts the Flux liner uses.
And finally, a big part of prep is just understanding the whole system, studying their ontological model, the Materium, the pulse, the ever-present now, your role as an LC with infinite origins.
Right. You have to buy into their model of reality, it seems. It's not just learning procedures, it's adopting a whole new worldview.
So the manual tries to answer some practical questions too, right? Like, what does it actually feel like to fly one?
Yeah, it describes it as a blending of thought and action,
Okay.
an extension of your mind into the ship's systems. It results in an an intuitive sense of movement and flow.
So less like driving, more like thinking where you want to go and it happens, like an extension of your body almost.
That seems to be the feeling they're trying to convey, yeah.
Huh.
A direct mental interface, very seamless.
And the flip side, what if your focus does waver, if you get distracted?
Well, apparently the systems are highly sensitive, so a lapse in focus could cause instability, navigation problems, or issues with the energy fields themselves.
Which brings us back to why that mental discipline is so critical.
Absolutely. The training is supposedly designed to build that unwavering focus, to minimize that risk, even under pressure.
Interestingly, it says there's no real physical strain, like G-forces maybe, but you can get mentally fatigued or energetically depleted.
hmm Which makes sense if you're constantly using focused intent and managing your energy state.
So rest, meditation, those energy exercises become crucial for recovery.
Exactly. It's a different kind of operational toll, demanding mental and energetic upkeep, not just physical rest.
And the actual interaction, the interface, it's purely consciousness-based, translating thoughts and intentions directly into commands.
That's what it says. Advanced training is about harmonizing with these interfaces, becoming one with the ship's systems, essentially.
Learning to speak the ship's language with your mind.
Precisely. It points towards a future where technology isn't just operated, but truly integrated with our consciousness.
So the manual wraps up with some pretty big thoughts. It calls being a pilot a rare and profound responsibility,
Mm.
saying it challenges your whole understanding of yourself as an LC, your eternal nature, your connection to the greater experiment of the Materium. What's the Materium? Did it define that?
It doesn't explicitly define Materium in the excerpts we saw, but it seems to imply the larger reality or cosmic structure within which the Materium exists, the greater experiment.
Okay, so being a pilot is framed as contributing to humanity's exploration, not just of space, but of space-time, consciousness, the big mysteries.
Right. It elevates the role significantly.
And then, almost bizarrely, it gives contact info. For more resources or training sessions with a Materium Space Force Flux Liner Pilot Program Coordinator.
Yeah, that part really blurs the line, doesn't it? Is it world-building fiction or is it hinting at something else? It adds this layer of intriguing ambiguity.
It really does. Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into this FluxLiner pilot manual, we've looked at a concept where spacecraft operation is, well, fundamentally tied to consciousness.
Yeah, using the supposed pulse of reality for instantaneous travel, driven by the pilot's mind and energy.
And the pilot isn't just a driver, they're this local consciousness, deeply connected to the ship, needing serious mental, emotional, and energetic discipline, not just technical skill.
And looking broader, the whole thing, whether you take it literally or as metaphor, raises huge questions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About reality being dynamic, maybe responsive to thought.
And about human potential. What if focus, awareness, control over our inner state, what if those are the real key skills for the future?
It certainly makes you think.
So here's maybe the final thought to leave you with. What if technology did evolve this way? How would our understanding of ourselves, of consciousness, have to change? What inner abilities may be dormant now might become absolutely essential for navigating not just space, but existence itself?
A fascinating question.
Definitely something to ponder. And, if you're curious about the source of all this speculation, that YouTube channel is Cliff High Sci-Fi World. Go explore if you dare. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.